look at them, will they diminish the people's confidence in the state capacity to deliver?
Yes, I think it has affected the people, but maybe it won't diminish it completely, but it has affected the confidence of the people. Because what happens is that the people want to see that the state is in charge from the word go. And the initial movement of the police was not encouraging or was not understood by most people because, they left the malls or shopping centers being looted in front of police stations. And so this of course, was not, the best of things. When you see police actually watching and the looting takes in place and the police doing nothing, it doesn't bring confidence in the people.
The Minister of Police, even the President, says the police were exercising restraint. To the untrained eye, we were looking and people were looting and police were just looking on and nothing was happening. What do you think was happening there? Were the police just merely underperforming, or was it a deliberate attempt to weaken the response of the state?
Yes, because I don't have much information like state security and intelligence from the police, I wouldn't really exactly know. Because according to what they say now is that the police were aware of this and they were aware that there will be this looting and they did not want to massacre, shoot and kill ordinary people, the children and the women, because it would have been reflected bad on maybe the president, because they will then again say from Marikana, now again the president is, killing people. So some people say that police had that information and they had to, at all costs, prevent bloodshed, especially of women and children who were hungry and looting. So maybe it should be accepted, although of course in my mind, we could have prevented it. We could have prevented it.
Yeah.
We could have deployed the police ahead of the time if we had information to prevent that those people who were bringing people to come and loot. Because what actually happened in some places like Vereeniging and other places, people were transported into kumbis, taken there to go and loot. And in some cases they were stopped, by the local people. So if the police had deployed in time because they had information, then they could have prevented some of the looting. That's my take.
Yeah. We saw, for example, live on air in one of the clips, right? The police had in custody about 3 of the looters, and in a space of less than 30 seconds had let all of them go. Somewhat the police was standing on the back of the van, or whether it was looking for a key or what was happening. And for many people, they look at that and they say, is it just a mere fact that this police officer was incapacitated, or he was just really not up to the task?
Yeah, I think what they say, Thabo, is that the police were actually instructed by their commanders to avoid shooting these children, to avoid harming these children, because it was not going to be good for public media, for international media, to see South African police shooting a young boy or shooting a mother. So what they say is, those who have better information, they say that the police were actually instructed to avoid, being rough with these children and women. So maybe that is the reason. But as I say, I think they should have prevented rather than to wait and, do the cure after. They should have prevented the looting. In other ways, they should have deployed maybe 2 days before if they had information. They should have deployed forces 2 days before to actually prevent the looting taking place. So at the moment, as I say, those who are, in the know-how think that the police knew and they were instructed not to shoot because they didn't want the image of South African police shooting young boys and women in the street, because it was not going to be good for publicity. So that's what I get, and it makes sense. It makes sense if you want to prevent that. But my take is that we should have prevented it. Deployed forces 2 days before.
Some members of parliament are calling for a thorough investigation and not a commission of inquiry, but parliament actually been given power to hold police management to account on this matter and their response. What's your feeling?
Yeah, look, I think it's good that members of parliament should actually hold an inquiry into this because it will include people who are not necessarily ANC members. You must understand, Thabo, we say that the ANC is captured, and when we say the ANC is captured, it's not really a dream. It's true, the ANC is captured. So you can actually rely on ANC members of parliament properly on many of these things, and this is why it's good to have other, members of parliament from other parties actually finding out what actually happened.
The response so far has been that of denying, for example, that this is because of poverty, or also denying that this is because of the arrest of former President Jacob Zuma. Now, there is this formation called an RET force, and the ANC says it's not a structure. It's just a group of people in the party who are gathering around a policy of the ANC. Should that particular matter be thoroughly investigated as to whether or not indeed these riots were initiated by this RET force within the ANC?
My own view is that it ultimately should be investigated, that structure, whether it took part in the planning and the execution of this looting. They should be investigated. But on the end, these are faction problems inside the ANC, between the Ramaphosa slate and former President Jacob Zuma slate. So these are factions inside the ANC. So they are fighting it out. It is unfortunate that they affect the country. There are battles, inside the ANC are affecting the country. But I've said in the past that until we change the parliamentary electoral laws to allow relationship between the citizens and members of parliament, we cannot solve this problem. We're still going to have it in future until we change the parliamentary electoral laws. We need members of parliament who are elected directly by the citizens, not appointed by the party. You see, at the moment, everybody is appointed by the party. So once you capture the party headquarters, you have captured everything. And that's why we have this problem where the factions and the slate of ANC are actually affecting the running of the state, which is unfortunate. But that is the reality. And you can't sort it out until you change the parliamentary laws.
Let's talk then about, there are different levels here of what's happening. There are those, of course, who happen to be accompanying those who are going to loot. It was not their plan. They didn't plan these things. They were there and they went in, opportunistic looters, if you will. There are those who are instigators of this. There are those who are actual criminal elements who are waiting for this opportunity. These are those guys who conduct heists. They were actually there for commercial reasons, and they went for electronic stuff. They went for ATMs and so on and so forth. And of course, there are those who are in politics, who are fighting a political cause. Are there some international players at play here who wanted to bring some instability?
Look, I think I agree with most of what you said, because it's not only one type of problem. Those who initiated the riots would have been the RET, the factions inside the ANC. But after it's initiated, then it's free for all. It's free for all. Anybody can, opportunistic crime and all this. So it's free for all. Basically, the factions inside the ANC initiated this. We believe that probably with the intention of actually overthrowing Ramaphosa. I hope I'm wrong. With the intention of overthrowing Ramaphosa and maybe putting somebody from the Zuma slate. Because basically, these are clashes inside the ANC between the slates, the Zuma slate and Ramaphosa slate. And as I say, it cannot be sorted out until we change the parliamentary laws. We have to change the parliamentary laws so that the citizen directly elect their members of parliament. They don't have to be appointed by any party headquarters from anywhere, And that's where the solution lies, changing the parliamentary electoral laws.
What has the uprising achieved temporarily within those factions?
Look, so for some of them, it will have, they got somewhat showing shortly what I'll say, dress rehearsal of, this is how this was organized. And so maybe in future they can organize it better, if this uprising, whatever, or this insurrection for them. But for some, really, for the other, the state, it should have given them lessons. They should, check, find out lessons to be learned from this to prevent this happening in future, because it's not good for the state to be in this manner. People get affected. Children now can't go to school because the buses or the shops were destroyed where they were supposed to get bread to go to buy, and medicine is affected, and the entry, of course, was destroyed, as you know, at Moy Plaza. So basically, this is a very serious thing in terms of undermining the state. And I would say that we need a state that must learn from this and prevent it in future.
Omry, I appreciate your time and thank you very much for joining us tonight. Omry Makgoale, he is a member of the governing ANC, giving analysis here of where things went wrong and the unrest that we've seen in the country in the past week.